Good afternoon from the KUOW newsroom. This is Seattle Now. I'm Paige Browning with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Thursday, August 28th. A story catching national headlines from our state today. 2 firefighters have been arrested by Border Patrol while working one of Washington's largest fires this year. It was part of a worksite raid. Border Patrol alleges the 2 firefighters were in the U.S. illegally. Gustavo Segrero has more.
David Buenos Diaz is a crew boss, leading one of a few freelancer teams combating the Bear Gulch fire. Diaz was there when he saw Border Patrol arresting the 2 firefighters. The teams he works with are composed of visa workers from Mexico, U.S. citizens, and members of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation.
Everybody works, no matter what intensity you are. We're all there for the same thing. We're all there to help the communities out, help the forest, and, just protect and serve.
The morning of the arrest, Diaz says the lead fire management team sent the men out to cut wood. That's when Border Patrol came to check in on the workers and arrested the 2 men. I'm Gustavo Segrero in Seattle.
Turning to the latest on Microsoft and the pressure it's facing from workers over the company's role in Gaza. Microsoft says it fired 2 employees yesterday for serious breaches of company policies and the company's code of conduct. This is in relation to the protest Tuesday in which 7 people breached the office of company president Brad Smith. He says the company is looking into claims that Microsoft's tools are being used for mass surveillance of Palestinians. The big day for light rail to Federal Way is coming. Sound Transit announced today its service will start December 6th. That'll include 3 new stations in Kent, Des Moines, Star Lake, and downtown Federal Way. This is in addition to a light rail connection to the east side expected next year, and eventually, Link Light Rail is expected to stretch all the way from Tacoma to Everett. A few stories to update you on briefly today. Washington Senator Patty Murray plans to block Senate confirmation of the top federal attorney in eastern Washington. The Trump administration named Pete Serrano as U.S. attorney earlier this month. Serrano's a former mayor of Pasco. Murray could block him because of a long congressional tradition that calls for the state's senators to approve the nominee for U.S. attorney in their state. Murray has called him an extremist who's tried to excuse the January 6th riot. Serrano told the Washington State Standard that his confirmation would be a, quote, uphill battle now. On our education beat, Seattle Public Schools is considering bringing back officers to Garfield High School. In 2020, the district suspended its SRO program. That stands for School Resource Officers. But the district says it's considering bringing it back and having officers focus on relationship building and responding to campus emergencies. Opponents who spoke out during last night's school board meeting argued the officers' presence would negatively impact BIPOC students. And Tacoma will not vote this year on raising its minimum wage. A judge in Pierce County has ruled that a $20 an hour proposal will not appear on the November ballot. Supporters of the wage hike sued the city earlier this month, claiming leaders deliberately delayed the measure so it would miss the November ballot deadline. But the Tacoma News Tribune reports the judge ruled against the plaintiffs. His reason will be issued later. Staff at the National Nordic Museum in Ballard are organizing to form a union. They claim there's a lack of leadership at the organization that makes it difficult for them to do their jobs. More from KNKX arts and culture reporter Freddie Menares.
The group says management has set lofty goals for membership, fundraising, and admissions, but haven't defined a plan to reach them. Maddie Arthur has been with the museum as a marketing assistant for 2 years. She says that lack of clarity from leadership has made it difficult for staff to do their jobs.
And so it makes it hard personally for me on the marketing team to, try to get people in the door of the museum without having a plan for how we're going to do that and how we're going to talk about the museum as a whole.
Arthur says the main goal in forming a union is to have a seat at the table to help guide the museum's future. In an email to KNKX, a museum spokesperson says they hope to reach an agreement soon that benefits both sides. In a statement on its website, the organization says it supports efforts that foster productive dialogue and collaboration to address staff concerns. In Seattle, I'm Freddie Monades.
update today. Cannabis, specifically online orders for cannabis. THC products from unlicensed sellers are coming into the Northwest via online shipping across the country. Spokane Public Radio's Eliza Billingham has more on the risks they pose.
In Washington, only licensed cannabis retailers are allowed to sell anything with detectable amounts of THC, including hemp. But in other states, you don't need a cannabis license to sell hemp. Those retailers often sell online, and people in Washington are buying them.
Of course, industry members concerned about out-of-state taking over their business.
That's Captain Matthew Murphy speaking to the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board.
You know, if somebody can just go online and order a THC product and get it shipped directly to their house without paying state sales tax, without paying excise tax, that would obviously be a big concern.
What's worse, an Oregon study found that the majority of these products have more psychoactive compounds than are legally allowed. Murphy says enforcing Washington's restriction on hemp-based THC products is extremely difficult when retailers are in other states. I'm Eliza Billingham reporting.
And finally today, the Seattle Seahawks are making a little news. They're getting another alternate uniform for the upcoming season. The numbers and helmet are iridescent green, as the team describes them, and the team will wear a gray uniform flecked with markings that resemble sound waves. Honestly, a lot of people say they look like Oregon Ducks uniforms. The Hawks will wear them in a game in December. Next time on Seattle Now, it's Casual Friday. Should city governments rely, as some are, on generative AI?
Should our politicians work harder at the job of thinking about stuff?
100%.
Yeah. No, they're doing great.
Love that we have to ask that question.
And that's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst, and I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See ya.